agava Hague mu kkooti y'ensi yonna ICC General Museveni ebigambo si birungi akatebe waatuula kabuze takyasobola kutuula takyasobola kuyimirira takyasobola kwebaka omutima gumwewanise essaawa yonna bamunona bamukimako anti ojjukira omusango President Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Bobi Wine gwe yateekayo ate ne documentary yaffe Bobi Wine the People's President ku mutendera gw'ensi yonna Oscars eziwuuse kati nno General Museveni ebigambo bimukankanyeko bimuvudde mu ngalo abadde akola buli kisoboka okulaba nga agulirira omusango guno guleme okugenda mu maaso kakati nno biyiseemu ebya Bobi Wine okulaba nga General Museveni akwatibwa mutabaniwe Speaker Neti Amongi abannamagye abanene ababede abajja bawamba n'okutulugunya bannayuganda etabaaza emaze okuzikira eyaabwe kakati nno emikono gya kubadda gitawemera ntungu natulira tulaba akatambi kano tukawulirize bulungi nnyo ogenda okumanya ICC wekutte General Museveni n'okuba nti Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine obukodyo bwakozesezza so okulaba nti nate tutuuka wano tutuuse olunaku olwaleero.
ICC, as the comrade said earlier, is it's part of the Western hypocrisy system, you see? So they cannot do away with the ICC because it's a part of the United Nations. It's one of the instruments of the United Nations. And they cannot do with the ICC because they need the ICC when it serves their interest. Even though they've never ratified the Rome Statute. So the US is actually not a member, a signatory of the ICC. But the US only denounces the ICC whenever it directs its attention to what the US sees as its interest, right? But on the other hand, when the ICC indicts Putin, they're very happy because that serves their interest. When the ICC indicted the late Muammar Gaddafi and his sons, they celebrate that because that serves their interest and their agenda. So they have a love-hate relationship. It is hate whenever the ICC directs its attention toward people that the US sees as an ally, right? But there's love when the ICC directs its attention toward the people the US sees as a liability or an enemy. And obviously, General Museveni was a reliable puppet. He has done everything that the United States has wanted. A very committed puppet, just like the late Mobutu was a puppet. But even Mobutu at the end, there's a limit. There's a changing of guard, and they want to move on, and that's what happened to Mobutu. And I get the sense that that is happening, or has happened with Museveni. And to me, the most serious thing is the World Bank suspending, because they know the importance of money. When the World Bank suspends money for projects, and there's been the other debate. I know there's another question on it, but let me just make this one other point. The almost $1 billion that the United States sent to Uganda, it's true that a lot of it goes into social services, healthcare, and other services that the ordinary people really need. And so then you are torn. Do you denounce the United States for the $1 billion? Because the argument is that if you take this money away, it's going to hurt the ordinary people. But then there's the other argument that so long as you keep giving that money, then the government that is elected by the ordinary people, and in this case not even elected, it's imposed itself, does not have any incentive to do the good work, because they know that a ready check is going to keep coming from the United States. So there's that dilemma. So I think it was easier for them to tell the World Bank to cut off the money, because a lot of those the money went into physical projects and construction. So that is my reading of that. So, but that was not a good sign because Mobutu, no matter how terrible he was, the United States never cut off any money to Mobutu. So if they can cut money to Museveni from the World Bank, that to me is a very serious sign. And Museveni knows that too. And his ministers know that too, including Mao. That is why people like Mao are going around running to these other organs right now, because the pressure is tremendous. And the other thing, we just had that conference, the Non-Aligned Summit and the G77. How is the government going to pay for that? Just think about that. How is it going to be paid for? The bills are going to be coming, right? By the time Uganda was awarded to host the summit, money was still coming from the World Bank. You see? The summit was awarded a long time ago. I'm sure if he could have changed it after the World Bank cut off money, he would have preferred to even cancel that summit and say, let another country host it. But you know the dictator would never do anything like that. It would have made practical sense because it would have been difficult to even afford it. But after the World Bank cut off the money, it's become impossible. So we might see some serious Ugandan economy beginning in the next 4, 6 to 8 months. If people are not being paid right now, and we know that to be the case, a lot more people are not going to be getting their salaries. And that will, of course, put more pressure on the dictator as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor, for that. And just to the argument, rather the argument that that most of the development partners always give in favor of continued support to the dictator is that they want to continue to engage through these development programs. But we know that what trickles down to the common man is often very, very little. Most of this money is diverted and siphoned through different corruption schemes, very smartly done. And so, because what they're doing, what these development partners are doing, first of all, they're legitimizing the dictatorship,
absolutely,
the Madras regime. Secondly, they're just perpetuating the suffering of the Ugandan people. So at the end of the day, really, the people of Uganda, as a matter of fact, could care less whether this development aid comes in or not, correct, because they are not getting it. Look at the roads.
That is my position. I was just saying how the arguments bounce, but I agree. That is my own position.
Exactly.
As well. Yeah, that's my own position. But also, there's one thing
the education
we have not
system,
talked about.
The health, everything has gone to the place. Yes, do that.
So there's one thing we need to be explicit about. There's a fact that the lives of African people are not valued the same way the lives of Europeans are valued. You see? And we must not be shy to always confront them with that as well. That's why the movement, Black Lives Matter in the United States, became very powerful. They confronted the system and saying, you're diminishing the lives of black people. We should do the same thing. You're diminishing and devaluing the lives of Africans. If human rights is something that's good for people in Ukraine, human rights good for every African as well. And we should say that explicitly all the time. I tweet about that all the time and encourage comrades. Tweet about that. Don't be shy. Our sisters and brothers are paying the ultimate price. People are being kidnapped. People are being tortured. People are being killed. We are living in relative luxury compared to our sisters and brothers back home. Even if you're unemployed, you're still in relative luxury. In some of these countries, there are social services, social benefits, and nobody's going to pick you out of the street and put you in a drone and take you somewhere where you're either missing, you're tortured, or they find your body somewhere. So I say all this to say that let's not mince words, let's not be shy about confronting these governments that support the dictatorship in Uganda. I live in New York City, and it takes at least 6 hours to travel to Washington, D.C. But I've been there multiple times for protest because it's a very small price to pay compared to the way our sister and brothers are suffering in Uganda.
Thank you very much. I really think that is where I was driving to, and you've hit it on the nail on the head. Thank you very much. Let's take the next. How much time do we have with you, Professor? Can we take?
I can stay till for 16 more minutes. That would be 10:30 my time.
Great. So let me take the three. Let me take the three hands, and then yes, Fred, please unmute and ask your question. Thank you.
Yes, Joe, can you hear me?
I hear you. If we can be brief and concise, please, so that we take more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Joe. Thank you, Professor Alimadi, for lecturing to us, especially the ongoing matter, the ICC jury. Actually, we're very interested to hear that because that has been our prayer. We need to see action when the ICC and the ICJ really acting this time round, because Museveni has committed so many crimes.
Right.
We know that the ICC investigations focus on the alleged war crimes against humanity in the context of the armed conflict as well, predominantly between the Road Resistance Army and the national authorities. One of them, Museveni's thuggery. Does the ICC not look into that? Because
Hello?
We've been hearing that Museveni even went to Congo and still a lot of stuff, timber and whatever. Even here, Museveni has stolen our money. Hello?
We can hear you.
Can you hear?
Yes, Fred, we hear you. Please carry on. Thank you.
Yeah. Apart from those war crimes and crimes against humanity, what of his targeted tendencies? Because we've had him going to Congo, stealing their mineral endowments, and as well killing people. So does the ICC also not interested in his targeted tendencies? Because for me, I see that he should also be charged for that. He has stolen a lot from we Ugandans and even the neighboring countries. Thank you, Doctor.
Professor, my apologies. If you could answer that, if you could answer Freddie, and then we invite in. Yes,
okay,
please.
Very good. So, essentially, it's what we've been discussing during this conversation. Why would the ICC not take action against these very blatant, obvious crimes committed by under General Museveni's watch? And I go back to the same point that I made, that the ICC will only take action so long as they believe it is in the interest of the United States. And I also gave the example from the Wall Street Journal article from June 8, 2006, where Museveni reportedly, it's in the Wall Street Journal article, himself, think of a head of state, whether dictator or not, he's still the head of state, contacting the Secretary General of the United Nations and begging him to block a criminal investigation. Think about that. And Anand said, I don't have the powers, but obviously somebody had the powers. And that was a permanent member of the Security Council, the United States. So that was then. So my own view is that things have changed dramatically. I do not believe that at this time, as we speak, the United States would again block an indictment or investigation and even a potential trial of Museveni or Muhozi. And that is why I suspect Minister Ma was there trying to offer a deal. It's not illegal to offer a deal. It's not unethical either. It's wrong for us who want total justice. But I can see him coming there and seeing, maybe he knows the indictment has already been returned, or maybe he suspects there's a strong likelihood the indictment will be returned. So he can say, Mr. Prosecutor, we would be willing to have these officers arrested, so and so and so and so. And he can couch it whichever way he wants to say. He can say they were directly responsible for these orders. The General Museveni was not aware of it, blah, 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 whatever nonsense. He's not going to come there and say Museveni was also a part of the crime. But please, don't indict him. Indict these. He would have a rationale. He would say there was a breakdown in the chain of command. The president was not aware of this, and that's how it ended up. So please, we are willing to have these arrested. And, you know, politics also works in the justice system. Under that kind of consideration, I can see the prosecutor possibly accepting that deal. Of course, we don't want that deal. We want the commander-in-chief himself to be indicted. But I'm just drawing a scenario of what might have happened. I don't have the facts. I just know the fact that the complaint was filed, and he does not have the power to eliminate that complaint. But he has the power to try to offer a deal.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor. May I, at this juncture, first of all, recognize the presence of Dr. Zedriga. Dr. Zedriga, I'm unmuting you, please. Let me see. Yeah, trying to unmute you. Yes, comrade.
Welcome to my sister.
My
Doctor is co-host. She can actually unmute
herself. Okay.
Yes.
It's failing. Well, I'm trying. Let me see. My sister, I'm trying again. Let me see.
Are they blocking her in Uganda?
But yeah, she has dropped. No, okay. What happened?
Oh, the connection was lost?
Probably, yeah, I suspect you're right. I think it's
that.
a connection that might be faulty. Yeah, I guess we should get her back.
I think Mimi had a question in the meantime.
Yeah, Mimi, in the meantime, could you ask your question, please?
Actually, kind of, Doctor answered it. I was going to say that I in my last submission, I think I forgot about the NAM thing, but I think he's just there to clean up image. And him being a leader, he has to really start cleaning up his image. But also the other thing, Doctor, what can we do? Because you're not Doctor.
Call me Milton.
Yeah.
Okay, Milton. I'm so used to, giving respect to people, but
we're all comrades.
I know, but we are about Africa. He's sending people around Africa, trying to. And the one thing that really hurt me, even if this guy is a military man, but I think he's more of democratic, and I'm thinking he's gonna be tainted. This guy in Burkina Faso,
right?
That guy who's working so hard to improve his country,
right? And
he sent there this, this son of his. So, what can we do? Because we are missing very many opportunities bringing these African countries into our bucket.
Yes.
So, what can we do?
I'm glad you asked that. We have to counter that propaganda with the truth. So, for example, when he makes a video, and this is what the dictator has done, talking about how Pan-African he is, I countered that video by reminding people that this is the same person who told an American magazine, Atlantic Monthly, that I've never blamed the white man for taking Africans into slavery. I've never blamed the white man for colonizing Africa. If you're stupid, you must be taken as slave. He said this in black and white. So I sent the link to that magazine article, and I make sure that I target to the people that he's trying to spread his propaganda. So for example, I was not aware of this visit to Burkina Faso by the Sun. So when I get off, that's one of the things that I'm going to go and tweet. I don't just say it, but I provide the evidence because it sounds so unbelievable. How could a so-called African leader say that if you're stupid, you should be taken as slave? I've never blamed you for colonizing Africa. Think about that. So when you reveal this, make sure you also include the link that somebody can click and it will take them to this American magazine. And that undermines his credibility severely. We counter him, his propaganda, with facts. I'll give you another example. And I'm sure it was not a coincidence. Obviously, I was appalled when he was invited with the other African presidents to go to the White House for the US-Africa Summit. So I was sending information to the State Department, to the White House. I'm not getting any response. I'm saying this is a genocidal killer. He's invaded neighboring countries. He stole the election. He's corrupt. I was sending all of the information. And then I realized something that they would have to respond to. The statement I just told you right now. Because in the US, as you know, the black vote is very important to whoever gets elected president. Because when the votes are very close on one side, Republicans, Democrats, whether the vote that is remaining is 5% or 10% or 15%, if people come out in high numbers, is going to decide who wins. So the black vote is very important. So the African-American constituency is very important in this country. So I sent an email with a letter with the link to that quote. And I said, how could President Biden invite somebody who said, if you're stupid, you should be taken into slavery, to the White House, given the destruction and the pain of slavery in this country? I got a response from both the State Department and the White House in writing, and we did a story about it, condemning the statement and when Museveni was there for the White House dinner, Biden spoke about the pain of slavery. I'm almost convinced that was not in his original intended remarks until we confronted them about inviting Museveni after he made these comments about slavery. You see? So if we do strategic intervention, we can always have impact. I think there was another question.
Yes, one more question. Yes.
Okay, great. I think the other question was, I think I answered that though. I think the ICC really will do what the United States wants it to do. And in this respect, it's a good sign for us that the relationship between the US and Museveni's regime is no longer like this. And let's make sure we keep it, ripping even further by supplying them as much information as possible with the atrocities that are still being committed by General Museveni.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. By the way, and for your information, the dictator has not stopped that narrative about African chiefs. He always likes to rumble about the 600 years history, African history, when the chiefs were not united, when they were disorganized, using primitive tools. He still blames it on them for the
when he started doing that? He started doing that after he started widely disseminating his statement.
Yes.
His statement that he made in the American magazine.
The dictator is still doing that.
Yeah. So in fact, he's worse than those chiefs that he's condemning, because he himself has killed so many Africans personally in Uganda, in Rwanda, in Congo, in South Sudan. So he's actually 100 times worse than any of the worst chief from back in the day.
Thank you so much. Yes, Comrade Iga, please, and I think okay. Dr. Zedriga, you are here now. Please, if you could take the
yes,
mic.
we should get the sister then. And
Before,
unfortunately, I can stay for only 5 more minutes, comrades, because I have another show that is already waiting. Actually.
All right,
Oh, sorry.
we appreciate. Dr. Zedriga Ngonio, please, you're very welcome.
Orio. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Commander-in-Chief.
Yes, I am so sorry. I dropped off at some point. Yes, I dropped off at some point because I got a call from the SG and then it dropped. I read about, but thank you so much for that very enlightening presentation. Very clear. And for me, I was walking the talk because when Moreno Campo came to Gulu, driven by the state of apparatus, he was actually housed or accommodated in the barracks in Igulu.
Wow.
At the barracks.
Wow. Talk about hypocrisy.
Yes, that time I was lecturing in Igulu University at that center, and then he came out, very boastful. You could see, we could feel that he was partial. He really was partial. But having said that, Mao's travel to negotiate. In law, we also have what we call plea bargaining. But of course, we cannot bargain over such horrific, massive criminal acts.
I agree with you, sister.
Yeah, you can't. It is unthinkable. Because with the missing husband still and having brought, I can't even believe. How about those? So anyway, let me not get emotional.
No, but that is very good.
What can we do? What can we do?
Become part of a statement by we who are fighting for freedom in Uganda to approach the prosecutor and say, we hope that you don't throw these victims under the bus.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Because in 2006, one of the conditions Joseph Kony had put forward, because I was physically in Garamba, I was with Jean England, and physically in Juba at Garamba, at the hotel, Jubara Hotel, where the negotiations were taking place. After the 5th agenda, Joseph Kony demanded that unless he is allowed to go to ICC and give his version of the criminal acts, he is not going to put his signature on the final agreement.
That is amazing. That is interesting.
I was very physically present. And when you did remind us that actually LRA is a product of Museveni, now he has gone to ADF. I totally agree, because when we went to Garamba, there were schools, there were boreholes, there were plastic chairs. Who supplies all those things? Okay? So I really wanted to corroborate that. And then also to finally say, we must continue with the pressure. We must continue with the organizing. And also, what else can we do? ICC has what we call the Victims Fund. It should be, we should actually be able to look at where is their office here, the Victims Support Fund, because there's funding for it, where we could actually be organizing with the victims whom we actually know, and even the witness protection. We need to be looking at, are they doing it right, or are they just driving around with their big cars? And then finally, what else, apart from protests, what else can we organize? Tweet, speak out, record yourselves, and send it. Tag everybody, do whatever you can do to let them know we are watching, to let them know we are really angry, to let them know that justice has been delayed since 2006. Now is the timing, and we need to make sure that it is not delayed anymore. We must continue to pick up. Thank you so much, Docas. Thank you so much, Professor Alimadi. Thank you so much, everybody. And Orio, indeed. I totally cannot wait.
Sister, before you go, let me just add one other thing. Ocampo has been very remorseful in more recent years about the position that he took at that time. Now he regrets that he actually protected dictator Museveni. If you see some of the more recent statements. So I'm glad you brought that issue up as well.
In fact, when we went with them to the IDP, I remember we went to Pabo, and he had the audacity to ask the people still, if you get Connie right now, we have Connie here, what would you do? The response, he could not speak from the time we drove from Pabo back, because there was a young boy who said, I would like Connie to be tied in the main road where all the lorries are passing to go to Juba. And then the women were saying, no, I'm going for a night, and my mortar, we're going to pound him and share his meat. Little did they know that actually it is not Connie who should be pounded in a mortar and eaten as OD. It is actually Museveni. So we need to continue to reclaim and speak out this narrative. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, sister. So, Sister Dorcas, comrades, I'm actually a little late for my other presentation. You'll have to excuse me, but I'm happy to come back anytime.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. Mr. Kato, just seconds and Professor is going. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Yes, Kato. Kato, we do not hear you. What has happened to your mic? Okay, I don't know. Godfrey, please do come in. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dorcas. Good evening, good afternoon to everyone on the Zoom. I think I came a bit late, so I missed out on the original submission, but it's been very interesting, the analysis from our good Professor Arimadi, and it's always very nice to hear from Mama Dr. Lina. Now, my question is, this week has been the anniversary of the late Archbishop Jana Nuluum. What's the reaction from our esteemed members of this function always being taken over by NRM? Yeah? And what's the significance, and why can't we make more noise? Yes, we made quite good noise on the space, but we need to highlight it more on places like this. If anyone has any comment on that, that's what I'd like to hear from. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. My opinion is, I think the charge, who we would expect to be really taking charge on this occasion, I've rather taken a backseat, and for different reasons. I think, first of all, they're really embarrassed, because when the times when Yanan Luum was the Archbishop, they were tough times, and they required somebody to speak out, and he did it without any fear. So currently, I think the situation is even worse. But what are we seeing? We are seeing people who should really be what we call the gadfly of society, the conscience of society, who should be speaking out. Instead, they are taking envelopes. Instead, they are taking pajeros. Instead, they are taking all these, freebies that have all these packs, that have made them now to keep quiet. So they are compromised, they are conflicted in a way. And that is why they dare not speak out, as a matter of fact, because when they just juxtapose and themselves and compare the situation, I think that they're just embarrassed, because they know they're not able, they've been gagged by virtue of the gifts that they've taken from Museveni. So it is but what does that mean? I think that means we just call them out, we make more noise, we embarrass them, and we tell them off, and we call them out, because they should be speaking out for the common man, for the voiceless, for the downtrodden, for the oppressed. Instead, they've chosen to dine with the oppressor, which is really, really concerning, ladies and gentlemen. So I think that is the situation. And to be honest, what can they say? Because they are they're appendages of the system that is oppressing the people, and that is torturing the people, that is brutalizing the people. So honestly, they don't have much to say. So they would rather be comfortable, watching the regime take over. And I think the reason why the regime takes over the event is to control the narrative, to say the things that they want to say, and to stop us from saying things that they don't want to hear, and things that most likely resonate with the people. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're drawing to a close. Please ask for the mic and give us your views. Kato, here you are.
He went off.
I see you have the mic now. You're a co-host. I'm unmuting you. Thank you. Over to you, comrade. Thank you.
I just wanted to first say thank you to, when you sit among elders and then you begin hearing and they don't go wrong. And we have missed these opportunities where we sit among elders, and to have our elder, Dr. Milton there, Professor, speaking. And then Mama comes with another evidence. And, many people, especially people from northern Uganda, we have been lied to for long. We have been lied for a very long time. And one of the things that, the legacy, when Obote, they moved into a rural area, when they were just flashing of Amin's soldiers. But many people have blamed Obote for the killings in Arua, in Koboko, those areas where Amin was. But you ask yourself, who was the interim Minister of Defense? It was Museveni. And what he does is basically he makes sure he does tarnish your name properly. And the same thing, the trend started, and then in Luero, the same thing happened. And now we're hearing Gulu. So everything pieces together, everything. And actually, there's a video that has been going about their 50-year plan, where they just wanted, basically, any region will not develop. I was talking to somebody yesterday about the places from Arua. I was asked, we had one of the best buses called Gaga, owned by somebody from Arua, and we had another bus called owned by KTT, owned by a prominent person from Arua, and all those buses are basically gone. And you ask yourself, why? What is it that they hate Uganda so much that they don't want other regions to develop? Everybody has to be under themselves, they are slaves. And that is what really pains me. And I just want to say thank you so much, Mama, if you're still there listening, for bringing that up. I'm piecing all those things together and actually trying to tell our people, you're being lied to. You're being lied to. You need to rise up. You need to stand up and say, this is not how we should be. This is how we should be. And thank you. So I've now seen Dr. James's hands up. So I'm sure he's going to even give us more fire. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Comrade Kato. Again, yes, there is a plan to impoverish Ugandans, and this is deliberate, and it has been taking, the focus was initially around the central region, but now that they've finished, they are spreading it outside, and what do? As they finish the indigenous businessmen, the indigenous wealth creators, they bring in these aliens, who are now who are spread around the country, they're giving out loans without security. The idea is you're giving your ID, and then you're giving your land as security, which of course they make the terms always hard for you to repay, and then they take over. So this is what is happening, and we need to pay attention. Yes, Comrade James, glad to see you. Please unmute and speak to us. Thank you. I've unmuted you, let's see. Yes, James, you're unmuted. Thank you. Over to you, Comrade James.
Well, I've been listening in here and there because I'm on duty, but I'll discuss general things and I'll go straight for. I think you've been seeing the tweets I've been sharing about Dokolo or Lira. I mean, after Cecilia Ogwal died, I think you saw the passion that everyone had. And now the headlines or the newspapers are awash with the news that again we might have a showdown between Tango Doi and Jim Akena. I just made a simple tweet and I think I have shared it with you there. I'm like, now, actually even people of Tororo, as I speak, they are contributing. I'm going to share, they are contributing to build a road by themselves, Nakongera Road. The young girls in the Kisoko girls go to the bush. Then I was asking myself, people of Lira, with the legacies that Kato is talking about, we had Obote, you had Cecilia Ogwal, and you are losing everyone. When you lose Cecilia Ogwal, when you lost Obote, when you lost, I don't know, this other man who was shot, when you lost the Lion of Mogadishu, does it ring to your minds? You are losing all important people. The histories and legacies of Northern Uganda is destroyed. And now I'm like, you get people who are, how can the Tango Doi who has girls in Kisoko? Tanga comes from Kisoko. That's where his village is. And the girls from his village use the bush. And he comes to set pace for you in Lira. I mean, I'm like, I just made a tweet and sent it there. You can, maybe Kato should share it with people from Northern Uganda. There's something you owe yourselves. The legacies that you had, if you had a president from that country, those are legacies. Look at the Bush, look at the Jimmy Carters here. They even have somebody who is standing now, So what's that legacy that you people of Northern Uganda want to have? As actually as Nangis, it's something that you are losing. Now you're taking the history of Wanyamulengo. Joe, I'm at work. I almost can't debate, but I just wanted to show my presence and say hello to you people.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kenny.
I'm in COVID-19 tight corner. So
All right. Thank you. Thank you. A good point. A good point. Again, we lack people with vision. We lack people who are patriotic. We lack people who are serious. But maybe I'll give it a different spin. I think, from my perspective, yes, Cecilia Gual was an icon. She was a luminary. She did a lot. But I don't like this idea of monarchies, families now, because Cecilia Gual was an icon, therefore her family now must inherit that seat. I really don't like that notion. I really think we need to have a discussion. Yes, let her daughter contest as anybody else, but it shouldn't stop other people from contesting. We see this happening all the time. One of the people dies, it is always like their next of kin to inherit that constituency. I find that objectionable, ladies and gentlemen. I think even in the new Uganda, we should shift away from that. But right now, that idea that, yes, Cecilia Gual has died, so her daughter or her son must inherit the seat. I find it, I don't endorse that thought. We saw this when the speaker died, his son inherited the seat. So I really think we should have that discussion and say if these people have merits or demerits to do that, or if anyone else can be allowed to contest. Yes, James is back. Okay, let's Prescovia. Maybe that's the old hand. Can we take Prescovia and then we shall go back to James? Maybe he wants to. Prescovia, I'm unmuting you. Thank you. You're unmuted. Speak to us, please. Thank you.
Yes, it has been a while. I've been down. You can hear my voice, but thank you so much for the resilience. Everybody for showing up everywhere whenever you're called upon. I know it is each and everyone's responsibility as a country. When you talk about inheritance, the thing started up, I don't know who was that first, and it was okayed. It was okayed. After all, the father has been serving us. After all, has been doing good. I think it started, was it with Nevanda, if I remember very well. Of course, by then, most of us weren't too much into knowing how our country should run, and we took it lightly, and it continued on and on and on and on and on. That up to now, it is an inheritance, and right now we have it in our parliament that the son of a dictator should be the one to inherit. Do you know why that is going to come up like that? Because each MP who passes on, hey ladies, each if the father was like this, why not? Why not the son? Why not the daughter? And it was okay. At a certain time, it is going to be hard for Ugandans. Right now, you have the son is there. And like, no, this is not an inheritance. This is not a monarchy. Yes, it is a monarchy because you accommodated it. Right now, you can't have something very important going on in the country unless son said what and what. Now, back to the so-called negotiations. It is very sad that the people we thought knew what the country needed and they were there from time immemorial, like a gentleman, Norbert Mao, during the Kony saga. He was there. When you see the documentary, he was there. That right now, he has forgotten what the people of northern Uganda went through under him, and he knows who was behind it. That right now, he's the one who's sitting to the table to negotiate for the dictator. This is very sad, and my fellow countrymen, these are the people who do not need us to, if to hit on the head, we should, because it shouldn't be Norbert Mao, whom everybody, they call him the Oracle of where? If you know, I'm not so much into that, but If we see Norbert Mao, Tango Doi, name them all, where are we heading to? Now, again, to our elites in the country, stop sitting on TVs and you think you nail it, yet the country is going to the trench. The country is going to the trench because we are used of seeing today eat, tomorrow will care for itself. The country is going, and we are watching, and we have contributed 99%. Let us stop sleeping. We are going to cry hard, but very unfortunate that none of us will be there telling them, you saw this coming and you participated to it. 2026, we don't want to talk about this, but it is coming. And now this so-called negotiation, thank you, Dr. Almadi and Mama Zedriga, for coming up. But I wish other people can see what you're seeing. And I'm sure most of us who was here are seeing what the country is heading to. If others can borrow a leaf, just something tiny like this, and change that brain of theirs that thinks that the country is okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I beg to submit.
Thank you very much, Comrade Preskov. Yeah, you make a good point. I think, yes, the Oracle of the North, but this is the man who once told Dr. Viryomaisha, no, Varyamunsi, that he was saying he was a clever man. He said, it doesn't matter how clever you are, but if you are paid to be a fool, then it doesn't matter. And that is precisely how he has ended up. You know, this is a man we had respect for. But apparently, I think all along he had just been chasing clout and chasing, power and status. And right now, we cannot believe that he's the same man who was in the video calling out the dictator and the murderer of his people. He's now the very man defending him. So it is sad, but that is reality, that people have turned into they've become they've become just shadows of themselves. The integrity they projected one time, now they're just sellouts. Yes, Comrade James, please come in and give us your thoughts again. Thank you. Unmuted. Yes, Comrade, come in. Thank you. Comrade James. Come in.
So when we talk about legacy issues, I think it's not about inheritance. Legacy issues are about standards. They're about standards. I mean, when you look at northern Uganda, you ask yourself, how did Obote become a leader there? And then the rest that followed with him. So how come the whole legacy is dead? Was it Obote Milton who killed it? But you saw Obote's legacy was to create leaders. The Rukakana Rugundas, even the Musevenis are Obote's legacies. So you get disturbed when you hear what is going on in northern Uganda now. Like after that legacy, what next? So I didn't mean inheritance. It should not be inheritance. Actually, that inheritance is not a legacy issue. It's not. It's not. I don't think Obote would have said that. Of course, Jim McKenna seems to have. I mean, you can look at it was on merit. Though he managed to stay with his father, he learned something. But the legacy issues are totally gone for northern Uganda. These are issues that these people of the north need to look at, especially in this last election, that is this by-election. It looks like a riffraff. Joe, that's what I wanted to say. That's what I meant.
Thank you. I think in principle, we're saying the same thing, Dr. Mgeni. I agree with you. Legacy is important. However, legacy should not be exploited for political ends. So what do I mean? If we want to talk about legacy, for example, the case of Cecilia or any other leader, we can talk about what was their vision, what were their achievements, what did they want, what would they have wanted. Then can we start a foundation? Can we start a research kind of institution to carry on the ideas? Absolutely, I agree with you. And the legacies should always be defended and promoted. But that should not necessarily translate into some kind of a family inheritance, political inheritance, so to say. This is what is happening. So the two things should be separated. Yes, fair enough. If they have children who measure up to the office, let them contest in a level playing field. Fair enough. But for us to ring fence those officers for just these people, I think that is where the problem is. And that is why Museveni is also going to justify the inheritance of the office, because we've normalized this. So this is really, I think, what I'm saying. We are not saying that you're justifying the inheritance of the office by Ogwal's daughter. Later contest, just like anyone else. They should not ring fence it just for her. So if she comes up as the best candidate, or then she's fit for purpose, then she takes the office. So that is really, I think we're saying the same thing in principle. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to, yes, James, your hand is still up. Is it the old hand? Let's see. James, would you like to come in?
Finally, now
Yes.
when it comes to Muhoozi, I think you see where the mistake is. You see now, the father is trying to cook what will not get ready. That is the other mistake that we are seeing now with this Muhoozi project. However much you try to make him a soldier, he can't be. However much you try to make him whatever you want to make him, whether you want to make him a politician, he can't be. So things have gone wrong. And like I testify that the legacies that we have right now was of what is time, where the Rugundas, mention anyone, the Makmots, whatever, these were people who are real boom. This is lacking now. Joe, I'm done.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. James, and thank you so much, each and everyone. Salute you, Mama, for joining us and that wonderful submission. We thank you so much, comrades. Yes, we take a closing remark from Mr. Kato and from you, Mr. Joe, then we'll close. Mr. Kato, your closing remarks, and then we move on to Joe and close. Thank you. And thank you so much for helping co-host the session as well. Yes, Mr. Kato.
I just want to first say, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Dr. Milton, Professor Milton, for giving us his time. A busy man, but his knowledge, his energy is valuable. Thank you, each and everybody who gives, and particularly when you have Mama Alina here with evidence and resourceful person chipping in. And I want to say we are living today much more aware about the hypocrisy and the picture that is tainted or painted for us people in Uganda, because the truth is there's deception. There is serious deception that we cannot just sit on. Everybody has a brain. You can't live in a country where you know the education system is only, why there used to be Ombachi, there used to be Mvara, there used to be Nyapea, there used to be War. And those secondary schools produced Koboko, there was Koboko, there was Poker. Those, and we had Laibi boys, Gulu High, and those secondary school produced most of the best teachers, head teachers. Ask yourself, why is that everybody has to run to Kampala now for education? Our teachers not capable of producing good. That is the lies that they have painted for us. And you can take your child to the best education system, whatever, but at the end of the day, where are the jobs for them? So these are the things that I just want to finish up with. We have deception, and we just have to really open the eyes of our people, point the facts, and that is very important. Thank you, Dorcas, and thank you, Joe, and thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kato, and thank you, of course, for the usual demonstrations on ground in the UK. We salute you and the team. We really thank you for that and for keeping that pressure and the fire burning. Hopefully this year we'll have many other demonstrations to, of course, expose the injustice in Uganda. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, those who are listening, you tell them we are putting a red carpet for the Speaker of Parliament. We are yet waiting. We're waiting for the date. We are going to.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so people look out for that date. Thank you so much. And also to remind you guys, the Stand Up is the name of the platform, or rather the name is Uganda is Bleeding. The handles are all at Stand Up Uganda. So if you go follow us on Twitter and Let's Amplify Sound, there's been tweets in the chat from Doctor and many others. Let us amplify, and then go read that article of the New York Times. Shared that in the chat. We will tweet that out shortly. Yes, let us close. We thank you and we welcome you back next Saturday. And also during the week, we do hold Twitter Spaces every Monday. We speak
Byebyo ebya generali Yoweri Kaguta Museveni ne ICC esawa yonna owulira nti kibaluse teweebuuza okuyisa ngalo mu maaso n'ogamba nti mukama weebale kuba kirabika twanditerera eggwanga lyaffe ne lifuna emirembe nesobola okuba nti ate tweyagalako ne tufuna omukulembeze afaayo eri bannansi era akolerera bannayuganda nga teyekolerera ye nga ye wabula ng'akolerera bannayuganda. Kale mbaagala nnyo mwenna abaliko mwebali kubaako ku Mukama Katonda gwe nsaba bankuumire tujja kuba tuddamu batayi mweraba.